What do you know? This is my 100th YouTube video. And what am I up to? Well, as you can see, I've loaded the car completely full of crap, and we're gonna go on a road trip and have some adventures. Are you ready? Well, I've done this drive a million times before over the last 2 seasons, but this time we're going somewhere different. Yup, instead of heading straight ahead up there to Ave Basin, we're gonna be taking a right to Keystone. Yes, we're starting my season at the corporate ski resort.
And check this out, even though I am at the corporate ski resort now, they hire real live human beings to check your tickets. Isn't that awesome?
Hell yeah, there you go.
So if you've been watching my other 99 videos, most of them about going on adventures, and there's a very good reason for that. I'm 66, well, I'm 2 days shy of that, almost 66, and I've got upper airway resistive syndrome, something that was supposed to kill me by the time I was 62, and I've just been trying to get in as many physical adventures as I possibly can. So on today's adventure is going skiing. What's it like to ski in the early season? Yeah, there's no frickin' snow. As a matter of fact, the only reason I can ski at all is that they have gotten out the snow guns and blown some snow onto one very long run. Because otherwise, I mean, look, there's no snow anywhere. Well, if you look up here, there are 3 chairlifts feeding this one single run that's open. So we'll see when I get on the run, but I expect it to be kind of a zoo. It appears I still know how to ski. You know what's amazing is it is November 5th, and it's not a hockey rink. I mean, look at that. There's actual snow on the surface, but you can put an edge in and make turns. Okay, here we go, run number 2. Let's get our last run in because it's early in the season and my legs are getting kind of fried. But then we're going to be on to the next adventure. And the next adventure, well, I think it's important to remember that the road trip itself is an adventure. And certainly this next section where I'm going to descend into Glenwood Canyon is amazing. Adventure number 2, rollerblades. So, this is the first day. We got the skis down. Now we're working on the rollerblades. This is one of my favorite places to go rollerblading. Glenwood Canyon. It's absolutely spectacular. Okay, let's get some scenery shots. Now here's the reality of getting older. Eventually, you give up everything. That's called being dead. But on the way there, you give up things in little teeny pieces. And I'm always wondering, like, what things are gonna go first. And it seems to me that rollerblading may win that prize. Because how big of a crash do I need to take on these things to screw myself up? So, we're doing it today because it won't be forever. It's back into the car and we're off to the next adventure. Where's that going to be? We'll find out.
Welcome to my favorite rock skipping place. Matter of fact, I like this place so much, I wrote a song about it.
I am skipping stones. 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 I am skipping stones.
Well, that's a pretty good first day of road tripping. Got to go skiing, did some rollerblading, and visited my favorite rock skipping place. Now to finish off the day, we got to get gas for the car, food for me, and set up camp before it gets dark. The good thing about doing a road trip more than once is you know which gas stations to stop at. I chose this as my campsite last night in hopes that when I'd wake up this morning, I could fly off of this ridgeline on my paraglider. As you may be able to tell, there is hardly a breath of wind, so that possibility is going away. I have to say I'm a little conflicted about flying. It has made my life in that it was my business for well over 30 years, and I traveled all over the world. I met all my friends there. But it was also a job. And the last year I took a break and didn't fly. I didn't decide to do that, but that's what ended up happening. And I thought, least habit just makes the sport fade away from my life. I should come out and take a flight. So if I'm to adhere to a strict let no toy in the car go unplayed with policy, the challenge is going to be the paraglider, because I'm going to need weather and I'm going to need a place to do it. But let's head on out and see if we can find a place to use the boat. Yeehaw, bumpy road! Time to take a break at the rest stop. So today's big adventure is going to be boating. Right? This is absolutely a perfect place to go boating. Middle of the desert. But here's the deal. Supposedly, over there is a river. And we're going to see how far my little Twinkie car with not much clearance goes in that direction. And the answer to that question is right here, because that car is not going up there. Let's zoom in. Ooh, look at there. Yeah. Okay, first rule of being in the desert is bring plenty of water. One of the best ways to bring water is in you. So my little waterproof thing is going to go some money, ID, insurance card, and a debit card. I don't know where I'm gonna use my debit card out here, but it's going in. Funny thing is, this is the first time on this trip the hiking shoes have been used. Here's the thing about adventures. They need to be planned well enough so they're not just complete and total disasters. But if they're too planned, are they adventures? There's got to be an element of the unknowable in your adventure to make it adventurous. I'm pretty sure there's a river over there. Is there enough water in it for me to float? I have no idea. How far is it after I get over this ridge? I have no idea. Is this all going to be worth it? Who knows? That makes this an adventure. All right, I have to climb up over this ridge line. Hopefully, I will then look down into a valley and see this river. Yeah, that's the river. It zigzags through there. And folks, I think I'm gonna beat a hasty retreat on this adventure. I think by the time I get to water, I'm just gonna be used up. So I think maybe what I do today is there's a road down there. If I was starting fresh on that road and then hiking in, it'd be an entirely different story. Getting back to the idea of adventure is, yeah, I didn't know where I was going. And I'm going to use up way too much time getting to where I want to be able to do the thing I want to do. So we got to come up with a new plan. But that's why this is adventure. I've been in this general area a zillion times, and there's a million adventures I could go on. I know exactly where to go, how long they take, but I've also done them a million times. And so I've done this one now, and I've seen something completely new. I was just thinking as I was hiking around the desert with my boat, this must be how Odysseus felt. And there's the car. All right, time to find another route, if it exists. Well, I hiked out to this road. It's dead ends here. Where I want to be, somewhere over there. Lucky for me, I have an alternative plan to get a boating adventure in on this trip, because I think this particular one is just not going to happen, which is okay. So let's head south, find myself a camping spot, and then get ready for tomorrow, where we're going to head down and see one of the coolest places in Utah. And here is camp, and this is one of the most important parts of adventuring in your 60s, and that's relaxing and recovering, because those who pretend they are still 20 find out all the more pointedly that they are not. Well, there you have it. I have turned 66. That is my 2/3 of the sign of the devil birthday. It also means that I have outlasted my upper airway restrictive syndrome death threat by 4 whole years. You know, when I first heard that on average people with my condition live to be from 58 to 62, well, I have 63 at the time. I thought, whoa, wow. But I didn't really take it to heart, because it didn't seem that tangible. Now it does, because the wear and tear of the constant exhaustion of restricted breathing and the lack of rest, well, I can see that eventually leading to the heart attack or the stroke that you're supposed to get. And how does this play into adventures and turning 60s and things that I've made my YouTube channel about? Well, it's just this. Continuing to adventure into your 60s, even without my particular condition, is difficult. And I like to bring up the difficulties because I can't imagine if you were watching like some YouTube jerk like myself going, like, I'm in my 60s, I'm having all these adventures. And then you didn't at least nod to the trials and tribulations, the aches and pains, the amount of rest and wear and tear that continuing to have an adventure life in your 60s is, will just be so demoralizing. So I want to keep in touch with the reality of it. So my fellows who are in their 60s will not become discouraged when they go rollerblading and every other stroke of their left leg has stabbing knee pain, or that day of skiing you can only kind of hack it for an hour and a half and then you fall asleep for the rest of the day. That yes, you can have adventures, but there are consequences to those adventures, and then there's a reality that surrounds those adventures, and that's okay. It's part of the price that you're going to have to pay. I don't want to deny that or diminish that in that grand, I'm having a positive attitude kind of crap that you hear all the time. Well, before I go any farther, I had to stop by and pick up my beryllium sphere. This is Goblin Valley State Park. It's got to be one of the most amazing places in the world. It's like a chessboard of stone chessmen laid out across the ground. Okay, I've never been down to this part of Goblin Valley, but with a sign like that, I must be in the right place. Holy smoke, it's pretty cool back here. I think it's really important as you grow older to reinvigorate those things that you do that aren't really all that athletic, because you're going to get injured, you're going to get downtime, and plus the activity is going to decrease. You need something to fill that up besides being depressed about how freaking old you're getting. And, I've kind of sketched all my life. It's a skill set of mine that has gone to great neglect, kind of to my embarrassment. My brother-in-law has to be the world's master of this technique, which is colored pencil on black paper. But I need to sketch more. So when that knee flips out, or I'm just too exhausted from all my restricted breathing at night, that I have something to put in the vacuum of the activities that I won't be doing. Anyway, sketching. Here, I'll hold this up far away so maybe it actually looks good. It's hard not to be whimsical in a place like this. I mean, for instance, doesn't this look like a big catcher's mitt that I'm sitting in? All these preposterous rock formations all around me. The imagination takes flight as I go for a hike. Look, it's a duck carrying a snail. Okay, just finished installing my new beryllium sphere. So let's head out for the next adventure. Yeah, all right. I had this idea that I'd drive down this wash here and find the muddy river, and then maybe I could get my boating adventure out of the way. But what do you think the chances of my little Twinkie car going through here? Let's see. Rock, rock, rocks, rocks. Yeah, no, okay. So that's 2 failed attempts at going boating. But if what we're trying to do is have an adventure, let me tell you, driving my little Twinkie car in these roads in the middle of nowhere in the desert, well, that's pretty adventurous. Look at this place. Well, as it's only 3 o'clock, I think I'm going to go for a little hike. So here's the hike I decided to take. Some of you might recognize this place. It's pretty cool. This has got to be one of the best hikes in the world. Certainly a classic. So it's a good place to go and have a little mini adventure before it's off to set up camp and maybe finally get the boating leg of this trip done. When you look at these rocks, this is actually turbulence frozen in stone. See the undulation one way and the other way and back. It's like when you're directly behind a semi and you get buffeted back and forth. When I wrote my very first book, I set a scene right here where the walls of the canyon are at an angle, so you can't stand over your feet and you have to scull along with one hand because there's no standing straight up. Here's the thing about upper airway resistive syndrome. Sleeping is exhausting. You wake up exhausted. So you have to ask yourself, when do I push it and fight through it? And when do I try to rest up instead during the day, which is what you have to do. And I almost didn't come up here because, it's already been a long day. But I did anyway. And I'm glad I did. And if that makes you think, well, just push it every single day. Well, you can't. Because there is really and truly a limitation to any human being's capacity. And mine in particular is pretty small. Because so much energy gets used up trying to breathe through a restricted airway every single night. But I've decided to ignore all that so that I can be here. But I will pay for it later on. At some point I'll have to go, stop it. You need to catch up. So clearly we're in the desert. Take a look at this. See these sticks? These are from water, from the floods. Pushed all this stick up into the trees. So at some point in time, the water was at least this deep in this very canyon. All right, the hike is over. And here's the good part about a road trip with a car, is that the driving time at least lets the body rest. Cardiovascular system, the major limbs. Alas for me, what doesn't get to rest is the brain. Because believe it or not, you should be using your brain when you drive. I know you can think of many examples where that's not the case. Like some idiot with his camera out filming YouTube while he's driving, not paying a hell of a lot of attention. But I think that's the biggest thing about the whole upper airway restrictive syndrome is you don't have deep sleep and your brain doesn't get that reparative sleep that it needs, especially getting rid of the waste products. It comes from the chemical reactions that makes thinking happen. All right, we're at tonight's campsite. I usually have pretty good luck because most people camping these days have a great big pickup truck and a great big trailer, and you just can't get the thing down here. So every time I've been here, this campsite has been open. Now, as far as adventure goes, look over here. That's the Green River, which means playing with every toy that's in the car is going to be one step more successful. Why is it that books are made to be packed on shelves nice and neat and not to be open and read? Because, I want to eat my sandwich, but to keep this book open, I got these 2 rocks to do the job. Isn't that weird? Off we go at the crack of noon, because there's only so many days in the row you can go just pushing it and going for it. So I slept in, got caught up a little bit. One of the big benefits of hiking your boat to launch is that you get a chance to check out the river on your way up. I was up here in spring one year, and rapids like that were pretty big. But it's fall now, the river's low. It looks like easy stuff for me to boat. The other benefit is this is a pretty amazing place to go for a hike, whether you were boating or not. In general, when I go out into the desert, I like to get in the boonies in the middle of nowhere, but tell the truth, I don't mind a bit of infrastructure every once in a while. Comes in handy. I've been walking for a little bit over an hour, and now all I have to do is find the river. Okay, I'm sure there's some easier way to do this, but I don't know where it is. But I hear the river up ahead. I know there's a big rocky shoal along the bank. It's just I have to get through all this crap to get at it. There are a lot of easy ways to get to the river. This, as it turns out, was not one of them. But here I am. It's kind of a grand place. Okay. I'm trying to see if I can get some of this mud off my feet. I have to say I'm heading off with just a twinge of trepidation, because when I took a closer look at some of those rapids, they seemed to look more powerful than I had thought. But guess what? As far as the every toy in the car must be played with, I've gotten in the boat, even if I just get out and walk the rest of the way back at some point. I'm out, and check out where I am. I'm floating past this gigantic thing, and I'm gonna go down there somewhere. All right, I have a new waterproof bag for my camera, so we need to find out if I can do teeth cam, where I hold the thing in my teeth. It's got this flotation stuff on the side, which makes it a little weird, but let's see if we get a decent shot here. So I'm just about to the big rapid, and I'm gonna pull out and take a look at it, decide whether or not I'm gonna go through it. I'm gonna walk around it. Take a look at how awesome this place is. All right, I think I can definitely do this. I just come right through here, right through there, out through there. Okay, that was pretty fun. I think there's a thing about waking up exhausted and then forcing yourself to do things anyway, is that you can be beset by a big case of the weenies. I was really concerned about that last rapid, but it was no big deal. And I think that's the thing is that if you're not possessed of great vim and vigor, that you do tend to get into this kind of attitude. Which makes sense, because I wake up every morning exhausted. You have to kind of tell that to go flip off, because otherwise I wouldn't be here. And this is pretty amazing. Wait, we'll do a flip around. You can see it all behind me. Yep, pretty amazing here. Now camp is just around the corner down there. So from here on out, I'm adhering to a strict no paddling policy. Paddling will just make the trip over faster, and it's a gorgeous late afternoon, and who knows when I'm going to get back here. There's my camp, but there's also one more rapid over here. So let's go and do this one, and then I'll hike the boat back to camp. First week of November, this is a pretty cool place to go boating. And there we go, another toy played with, which leaves only the paraglider. I gotta say, now that I'm all wet and soggy, I really hope the sun goes right there. Well, I came over here for no better reason than to stand in the sun for a little while and warm up. And here are all these big horn sheep hanging out over here. Well, as much as it pains me to leave this place, if I'm going to have any chance of playing with the last toy in the car, that is the paraglider, I need to be driving this evening, so I'm at a potential site first thing in the morning. So, goodbye place. Okay, I came back to the flying site on my way home, and did I fly my paraglider? Kind of like that guy? Actually, I did. Is there any footage of me flying? No, because I didn't bring anything to attach my phone to my glider so that I could take footage while I flew. So here we are, gliders, people flying. All toys are now played with, so it's time to start heading home. All right, here I am at the Colorado Monument, one of our national parks. Obviously, the richest nation in the world has enough money to run their parks, but at this point chooses not to. It's kind of interesting. There's no park rangers there. There's nobody collecting fees. I wanted to get my senior pass because I'm old as dirt, but there's nobody here. But it does mean I can nonetheless come and enjoy the park for free. And it's really nice that they just didn't close the gate. The people who run the park said, we're going to make this as accessible as possible, regardless of our lack of funding. So here I am. I haven't done this drive, I don't think, in maybe 20 years, maybe more. And I've always been shied off from places that charge you money when there's so many wonderful places that don't have, know, the fee and the infrastructure and the rangers. Because I go on the desert, I want to be alone and away and far and away and go exploring and mumble like this to my heart's content. And yet, I do miss out because a lot of our national parks have incredible things to see. That's now that I'm old enough to get my one-time senior pass for whatever, $80. I gotta kind of mend my evil ways and my attitude towards national parks and go see a bunch of them. Because in reality, I think I've seen this one, Yosemite, and Rocky Mountain National Park. I think that may be it. And so we return to Grizzly Creek. I always think of road trips as bungee jumps. There's first the weightless rush when you leave the bridge, the falling excitement of going to places and not really knowing what's going to happen to you. But after a while, you feel that bungee cord come taut, start slowing you down, and then it pulls you back upward, or in this case, back home. So I think I've got one last adventure left in me for tomorrow. So off to this trip's last adventure. Yep, that lone strip of snow running through the mountains in the distance. All right, here it is, the trip's final adventure, day 2 at the ski resort. And here's the amazing thing, because their weekend single day pass is so outrageously expensive, I have officially just paid off my season pass. So that brings to a close my birthday road trip, which is my 100th YouTube video, which covered many of the subjects that my videos have been about, you know, skiing and hiking and boating, rollerblading. Of course, when I started this channel, I was thinking I'd promote my music. But truth is, asking people to listen to your songs, it's kind of like saying, would you like to smell my underwear? So, stay tuned for adventure and video 101, which will be about something.